Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tinker Tools. Over the last couple weeks I've been talking about the brand new kit from Milwaukee that introduced their compact brushless drill and their compact brushless impact driver. Last week we showed how the impact driver compared against some of the competition, and this week it is the drill's turn to see how it compares against some of the 18 to 24 volt compact competition that is out there. So let's go ahead and get right into that on Tinker with Tools. So a couple weeks ago we did introduce the kit and show how it compared to the M12 Fuel, and now it's time to find out if the drill driver can actually be as impressive against its compact competition as well. So as I've mentioned before in the previous videos, this is model 360120. This is the drill driver version, although they do offer a hammer drill version that is 0.1 inches longer, so overall the size doesn't change a whole lot, and the specs on paper, with the exception of not having a hammer function, are identical. These tools are sold as bare tool by themselves and then in kits with single and double batteries, and then overall you can buy the combo kit that includes the drill and the impact driver. Now this is not a fuel version of their tool, but given how compact it is, I think it still does stand out. And if I've learned anything over the years, it's that not all tools need to be fuel, and the fact that something isn't fuel doesn't mean that it is necessarily not going to be a good tool. Now this does offer 550 inch-pounds of torque, 550 RPMs in speed 1, and 1700 RPMs in speed 2. Size and weight wise, it is the most compact drill that we're going to be showing today, and in terms of weight, it is right down there at the low end of those. So now I want to go ahead and give you an idea what we're going to be putting this up against. All right, first off, we're going to be going over to Rigid with their subcompact offering. Now the naming of it being a subcompact does not necessarily make it in a lower class than what these other tools are. In fact, size-wise, it is a little bit bigger, and the specs are relatively the same as the Milwaukee tool. This one has 500 inch-pounds and up to 1750 RPMs. Overall, I think it's going to be a competitive tool, at least on paper. Next, we are going to be going over to the DeWalt Atomic Gen 2 drill driver. This is model number DCD794. This is actually their smallest and most compact drill that they offer to date. This one offers 1650 RPMs in speed 2, 450 in speed 1. Now DeWalt doesn't actually quote torque figures. This one quotes unit watts out, which is just over 400 unit watts out. So we'll have to see how that fares power-wise. Traditionally in testing, this is not necessarily one of the more powerful drills that you're going to find in this segment, but we'll see how it stacks up today. All right, so now we're going to get to what I would consider the main competition for today's video, or the ones that, based on previous testing, are the ones that I think I'm most intrigued. Now, the first one is going to be the Metabo HPT DS18DEX. This is their new drill driver that came out in conjunction with the impact driver that we tested last week. This one is offered in a kit, and you can typically find it on Amazon for as cheap as $149 for the kit with two 2-amp-hour batteries. On paper, is not necessarily sold as a compact tool, but in terms of how it compares to the rest of the competition, it is one of the more compact offerings that they have. It does have an all-metal chuck that actually is one of the nicer ones that we're going to show tonight, and overall it's a really well-balanced tool. It offers 620 inch-pounds of torque, and it has the highest top speed of 2,000 RPMs. And so it just doesn't look like it's very compact, but when you pick it up and use it, it actually proves to be quite compact. All right, and then last but definitely not least, this is going to be the FX1131. This is our new compact drill driver. They do also offer this in a hammer drill version as well, if you're interested in that. They've actually packed the most torque out of any of these compact variants that I would say you could go out and get tested. This one has 650 inch-pounds of torque, and unlike the other ones where we're testing them on 2-amp-hour batteries that usually come included in their kits, this one is actually going to be tested on the included 2.5-amp-hour battery. Now, one of the things that certainly stands out about the Flex is because of the extra cell in the battery and just the overall robustness of the construction. This is not a featherweight, especially in this group, but overall compactness is right around where I would expect it to be. And so it's going to be interesting to see if the extra weight that you're getting from this tool is worth it for the extra power and performance that you're going to be getting. All right, so let's go ahead and show you just some of the different specs with each of these different tools. We'll show you how they compare together. Then we're going to get right into the testing and show you how they stack up against each other. And then we'll come back here for some conclusions. With that testing we did today, you definitely saw a couple of the drills that, because of their performance, just were not able to do all of the task up in speed 2, instead having to drop down to speed 1. Now this did make it so they could complete the task, and none of the tools outright failed the task tonight, but you can definitely see the separation and power of what these tools have to offer and kind of where that line is set. The Rigid and the DeWalt definitely felt like they were almost a step down from the rest of these drills today in terms of what they were able to handle. I think the Rigid is definitely an improvement from the Gen 1, but something that maybe it's just a personal preference really stands out is just that slow ramp up that they have on these subcompact tools. Some people might like it. I personally absolutely hate it, and you definitely saw it in the testing results as you'd watch the results happen. This one just gets to work a little bit slower because it ramps up. You might find that you actually like that, but I would prefer to control how fastly it ramps up with a good trigger. I just don't absolutely love that about this tool. The DeWalt is certainly nice to use, but in terms of performance, you can just see it fall a little bit behind here. Everything about the tool still feels very DeWalt and feels quality. It's just not going to win any of the testing that we do here. And so for that reason, I kind of put that in kind of that next tier. Now that brings us to what I would consider to be the top 3 in this testing. And this is where I was actually a little bit surprised. You know, you have the lowest torque figure here on the Milwaukee at 550, then 620 and 650 with the Flex. It definitely feels like the strongest and fastest drill here in terms of what it can actually go through in the tests that it can handle. Now it does obviously have some extra voltage to work with, and I think they obviously have used that to their advantage. So while it's not the smallest or most compact, you're definitely getting a more compact Flex tool, and I think for people on the Flex lineup, they're actually going to love that. This, much more so than the impact driver that we tested last week, does feel like the best tool that is out here in terms of performance testing. Now that brings us to the next 2, which is going to the Metabo HPT and the Milwaukee. I actually didn't expect a whole lot from the drill driver on the Milwaukee, but in terms of being able to complete every test, it was one of only 2, next to the Flex, that was able to complete every test in speed 2 without stalling or dropping down to speed 1. There was a single test where the Metabo HPT had to drop down, but overall this one handled it like a champ and actually did really well. So like I said at the beginning, the drill testing didn't actually surprise me as much as the impact testing did, other than the fact that the Milwaukee actually tested better than I thought it was going to compared to some of these other tools. I had tested all these other tools against each other before, and I kind of knew how they were going to stack up. So it was a little bit surprising to me that the Milwaukee was able to kind of go in and really establish maybe that 2 spot, coming in almost as a virtual tie with the Metabo HPT in terms of time. It was pretty darn close across 7 different tests. The biggest difference being that this one actually had to drop down to speed 1, and one of those tests, this one is able to stay up there. The Flex has a healthy lead here, and it certainly is a great product that they've made there. I think overall the Flex remains the most impressive compact drill in terms of power and what the performance you're getting out of it. But given that it's a little bit heavier, I think you're going to see some people choosing to go with one of the more compact options here because they're prioritizing that. You certainly don't necessarily go to one of these tools for class-leading performance. What I do think is nice, though, is when you're able to do a wide selection of tasks with a more compact tool, it does enable you to carry around something that's overall lighter and is going to be easier for you to carry around, and that does stand out to me here. So overall, I think any one of these 3 I can wholeheartedly recommend as being good, compact, yet still powerful options. So there you have it. Go ahead and let me know if you have any questions about any of these tools in the comments down below. Let me know which one you'd choose, and if you have anything else that you'd like to see tested against one of these tools, go ahead and let me know, and we'll see if we can bring it to the channel. If you like the video, as always, please use that like button to let me know so. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and until next time, I'll catch you on Tinker with Tools.